What's up guys, welcome back to Lorcana Villain. My name is Baker and today something slightly different on the channel. I've said that I was planning on doing something along these lines for a while, but different in the sense that I'm not using a face cam today. I will usually use a face cam for the majority of my content. I know that a lot of people find it more engaging. I know I do as a YouTube viewer. But for this video in particular, where we're going to be going quite in depth, watching a replay of a game that I played, a recorded game, that I'm going to basically narrate my entire thought process of the Ruby Amethist Mirror match. And as such, I thought I'd try out not using a face cam just so that the full attention is on the game. But if that's something that you wouldn't want to see in the future, if you would prefer to always just have the face cam, let me know in the comments. Honestly, just FC in comments, and that will tell me to in future just always use face cam. But if you're happy for the occasional thing to just be voice, then please just like the video. But yeah, so I have played 90% Ruby Amethyst since I picked up the game. I've been playing on Pixelborn for about, I don't even know how many weeks at this point, basically since maybe a week or so before the game released, the pre-release on the 17th or 18th of August. And I've played quite a lot since then. I've started a whole YouTube channel to do with it, and I've watched a lot of games and played a lot of games and looked at a lot of lists. And I just think, all in all, Ruby Amethist is probably the best deck of Chapter 1 format. Season 0, you could say, because although we've had some official tournaments, we've not had like official play. We don't know. We're still not leading up to national championships and earning points for, you know, hopefully the development of this game. So yeah, Season 0, Chapter 1 format, however you want to look at it. I think Ruby Amethist is just overall the best deck. I think it just has the ability to answer the majority of the format. I have played around with cards, card count, lots of things, and this is where I'm at. I've got a video that I released a couple of weeks back with my 70 card Ruby Amethist, and there's been a few changes of like not just the cards, but I think differently about a few things. So I'm going to talk you through a few of the decisions in this particular list. Some of them are going to be quite straightforward, but I'm going to talk about some of my particular reasonings for certain counts, and then we're going to go into a game that I played not too long ago. Ruby Amethist Control Mirror, except their deck is only 60 cards. And from what I could tell, at least we don't see one, they're not playing Cauldrons, but they are playing the Mickey package, and we are playing Cauldrons, and we're not playing the Mickey package. So, again, I've talked about this in a few of my videos. I just don't think the Mickey, the one that goes with the brooms, the Wayward Sorcerer, I just don't think he's needed. I think there are situations where you can get a big Mickey broom loop turn off and recycle your resources and just get away with that, because that's the thought trail. I'll just run 60 cards so I'm consistent, and then I'll just get a broom loop turn so I can recycle, so I can still keep up with resources with mirror matches where they're playing more cards. But in my experience, whenever I've played someone who does manage to get that turn off, it generally wasn't worth it, and they end up like using so many cards in their hand and like being left with very little, and like, you know, you can play around it as well, and you'll see that during this game coming up. But let's look at some of the key decisions I've made in the list. So I've got 4 Archimedes, 2 Tibs. So one of the biggest problems with Ruby Amethist is it has such a dodgy early game. It needs to get to at least turn 5. Because from turn 5 it can be playing Maui to start clearing up a field, Dragon's Fire if it's really necessary. By that point it could have already had Magic Mirror on the field and be able to start drawing cards slowly, and there's just more options that the deck has overall once it gets to at least 5, but those first few turns can be really quite awkward. So against aggro, we just want to get into the game, essentially. So I've built this deck to try and have as an efficient early game as we possibly can. So we've gone with the 6 1-drops, because we always want to see one, whether we're going first or second. Because again, especially going second against aggro is just really feels bad, and you need an instant response to it, and then you need to be able to, like, as soon as possible answer the Simba. So we've got a 6 count of 1-drops, and not just for that, even in the mirror, they end up being really useful sometimes mid to late game, just for being able to put some board presence on the field, along, like say you've got out a Maleficent or an Elsa or Aladdin or a Queen. Sometimes just the extra Archimedes or Tibbs or something like that is enough to bait the be prepareds, because now you're going up by a little bit too much lore every turn for their liking, so they're more inclined to play their hard removal cards. So they come in use a lot, and again, sometimes they're just very easy ink. We've only got 3 brooms. Again, I'm not running Mickey because I don't think the slots are overall worth it. But brooms themselves are absolutely worth it, because you do need to be able to recycle resources. But I just think that brooms are enough. We're at a 3 count. My philosophy with any important card is assume you will always have to ink one. Like when I'm building a deck, that's always the way I think about it. So even if we end up having to ink a broom, which we really hope we don't, we've still at least got 2, so that we can recycle 1 resource, and then if we need to, we can loop the brooms themselves if we're really worried about deck out. Or at the bare minimum, we've got hopefully 2, but again, if we've not inked any, 3 resource recyclers, which again, by the time you get to using the brooms, you've got a better idea about which ones are going to be the most necessary, whether it's your Be Prepared, your Maleficents, whatever it might be. So I've always found that 3 does me perfectly. We've got 4 Gaston. Again, we really want to be able to respond well to aggro, especially if we go second. We want to be able to go turn 1 Tibbs or Archimedes, and then turn 2 Gaston. If we go first, it's even better. We've got the Rafikis, which are an extra defense against aggro, and Rafiki is goated. Rafiki is so good. But sometimes you don't see it, and you need something else that can help you get over that Simba. They're also good against Emerald decks, just because so much of that deck is like 3 or 4 willpower. So yeah, that you can get a lot of use out of Gaston. In the mirror, 9 times out of 10, you just ink it straight away. There are niche situations where it's fine to put the Gaston down if they've got something out like a Maui or an Aladdin or a Queen, that's like, assuming the Aladdin or the Queen have got a bit of chip on it. If you've got a Pocket Watch down, you can just Gaston and quickly remove that. So they can come in use in the mirror, but normally you just ink them, and it's other decks that they're here for. 3 count of the Baby Elsa I really like. Again, it's so important in the mirror specifically, because they're going to be running Shield of Virtues, or most of them are anyway. It becomes really hard to be able to take things out without using your hard removal cards. So Elsa's just a great way of being able to remove things in a different way, or set up an Aladdin turn, which can be huge. Or against like if you're against Amber or Emerald, these decks that just like really outpace you because we have such an awkward early game. Sometimes you get to a point by turn 5, 6, 7, you've managed to get to a point where they've got like 1 card in their hand, and you've got 3 or 4, and you've got a bit of a board state, and Ruby Amethyst is doing Ruby Amethyst things, and it's all good. But by this point, they're at like 17 loyalty or 2, if that, and it's just a case of they'll have a lot of things they can top with 2 or 3 lore pips they can put down, and once you run out of answers, Dragonfires, Maleficents, or again, if they put down a Kuzco, it's not even that easy. So you get to a point where, again, I know that Elsa can't target Kuzco to exert, but again, just in general, it's useful to, like, sometimes you can have a good field, but they have 17 lore and they draw a Hans, and then they put it down, and if you haven't got a way of exerting it and getting it off the field, then you just lose just due to that. We've got the 2 Elsa later on, but again, having the smaller Elsa I think is really good. And again, sometimes it's good, like if you've got an Aladdin out, or a Queen, or a Goofy or something, just adding the Elsa as well can sometimes bait the Be Prepared, and even Dragon's Fire on Elsa, because they want to be able to exert a character through challenging or questing or whatever it might be, but they don't want to open up to you then going Aladdin challenge, even if they've got Shield of Virtue. So Elsa puts in a shift. 4 Maleficent is pretty straightforward. I'm at the 3 Rafiki count. I think it's a 2 or 3 on preference. But again, I think that Ruby Amethyst's biggest weakness is its early game. So I'm at the 3 count because I always want to see one in my opening hand. And again, even not against aggro decks, it can come in useful, even in the mirror. Because quite often you'll reach situations where if you've got down a Maleficent or an Elsa or a Gaston or something like that, and they might go Maui, And then you've got an easy Maui answer for if you've got with Rafiki, if you want to be able to protect your queen or whatever it might be. So it can have use in the mirror as well, but again, predominantly it's just protects you in that early game, mostly against aggro related stuff. So yeah, Rafiki goated. 4 copies of the queen. So we see later on, I am still running 2 magic mirror, but again, we as soon as the Steel Amber Songs deck became big, I mean, there was already some beast around, which was more the control variant with Silver Amethyst. But yeah, so there was some beast, but then after Steel Amber Songs became big, there was just such an abundance of beast, and just Mirror just became not very reliable. So Queen is a card that I think when everyone first picked up the game, they really liked, because, you know, drawing cards is king, and people recognised that, but it very quickly became a case of, oh, you don't even always get it off, and sometimes you just get the one draw off, and then they die, and they get banished, and then it wasn't really worth it. So she fell off a bit, but I think she's risen in popularity as a direct result of the increase of beast, just so that you've got a second draw engine. And again, obviously they can still get rid of your Shield of Virtue, but that doesn't automatically get rid of the engine. They still then need to also take out the queen, which beast specifically can't do in one shot. Again, if they're running silver, they've probably got little thing like tinks and stuff like that for smaller damage, so they can still do it. But again, you make them need more cards. We're running a high Shield of Virtue count for that reason, as well as just wanting to see it a lot anyway. But yeah, Queen is such a more reliable draw engine. Like, if I have it my way, I always want to turn 5 be able to Queen and preferably already have Shield of Virtue on the field. And then I just want to use that as a draw engine, and it gets to a point where like it will bait the Dragon's Fires, and or if it's later game, it will bait, like, because it's just getting you advantage. And sometimes I've been in situations where I've already got a big hand, and then maybe I have even got Mirror on the field, but they still want to use their hard removal on the Queen, even though I'm like, okay, well, I've already got a pretty big hand, and I understand you don't want it getting bigger, but you're losing your removal cards, and I haven't even played my bigger stuff yet. So yeah, Queen can make the opponent play in like unpreferable ways. So yeah, and just as a draw engine, she's great. There is an argument for LeFou being in here. I totally respect the LeFou call, but I still prefer the Shields of Virtue, just because even though LeFou is cheaper, and obviously, you know, can't just be banished, but Shield of Virtue just has so much reusability if it does stick onto the field. So yeah, Queen puts in a shift. We're at 4 Goofy. I was running Jetsam for a while. Mostly as an answer to things like Tinkerbell and opposing Pongos and stuff like that, which were like I was seeing quite a lot. But then I stopped seeing them so much, and then it just got to a point where Jetsam was maybe coming in useful in like maybe 10 to 20% of matches, and that for me isn't enough to really warrant a deck slot. Whereas Goofy is really good in the mirror, because it always ends up baiting their removal cards, their Maleficents, their Dragon's Fires, especially if they're not running their own evasive characters, which not all Ruby Amethist, a lot of them are running at least Goofies, and you see a couple of Mickeys. So sometimes they do have that as a response, but again, if they do, then okay, that's a way that you're baiting that out. And, you know, if you've got your own Goofy down and then they go Mickey, Pocket Watch, Challenge, and then you still have to get rid of their Mickey with a Maleficent or something, and then yeah, that feels bad. But again, at least you're baiting these things out, and yeah, just with the 2 Lord Pips, Goofy can do a lot. For Maui, I think is absolutely standard. You need to be able to answer things on turn 5. Again, because Ruby Amethyst is so slow. 4 Aladdin, I think, is absolutely staple. Just 2 Elsa. Again, we're trying to be very ungreedy with our uninkable count. We have 16 uninkables, which I think is the bottom end of what Ruby Amethist really wants to play. So we're only at 2. We have to be very careful with them. But again, at least we do have brooms to recycle them. But they are such important pieces. But again, like, it's similar to why I've ended up cutting Ursula, who I think is a fantastic card. But Ruby Amethyst really is at its plight in the early game. And it wants to play a lot of high-end cards, because that's what Ruby Amethyst is. You want your Elsas, you want your Maleficents, you want your Be Prepared, your high-end cards, and then your Aladdins, your potential Mickey Mouses, things like that. So again, you need to be sparing with them and make sure that you've still got a good early game, and make sure that you're not seeing too many high-end stuff too early. So it's just a consistency cut. We've got the one Mickey Mouse. I would kind of like this to be 2. This is the deck I was using in this game that I was going to play. Again, I said earlier, any card that you play, assume you always have to ink one of them. So sometimes with just one, if we do ink it, then that does take it out of contention for use. But if we can avoid inking it, then it can put in a shift. Again, most of the time it is going to bait out hard removal cards. But again, good. We want them to use them so that we can be pushing for game. But really, this is what you want to be pushing for game with. And it's a great comeback card. And again, especially, even not the mirror, if you're against aggro decks that have just got the lore advantage on you and they've got to like 12, 13, 14, 15. If you can then steady the board state so you can consistently remove things and then get to a point where, okay, I'm at 12 lore. Okay, I put Mickey down. I'm 2 turns from game. Which is doable and is something that will come up in this game we're about to play. So yeah, 1 Mickey, a second would be nice, but we're at 1 and it does put in a shift. 4 Maleficent I think is standard. We're only 3 Dragon's Fire. Again, we need to be generous with our uninkable count. We do have other removal cards. I was at 2 at one point, but I have finalized on I think it needs to be 3, and sometimes we need to recycle them. We need to be using them at the really at the right moments, but 3 is the count that I've found to be the most consistent for me. 4 Friends on the other side. 4 Be Prepared. I think these counts need to be so. 3 Shield of Virtue. Again, we mentioned this earlier. Great as a draw engine with the Queen. But again, also great for being able to get a second hit off with Aladdin at times, which can just be game winning. If you've like managed to exert with Elsa and then Aladdin, and then you can challenge and then re-ready and challenge again. It can just be such a game-changing card. And again, just protecting yourself against challenges a lot of the time and making it so the opponent has to have hard removal for your stuff. So I think Shield of Virtue is so important, and really a lot of the time you want 2 down. So again, if we're assuming that we're inking 1, then I think 3 is the minimum, and we really like to see it in our opening hand. I really like in the first few turns to know I've got Queen Shield as a potential. Okay, from turn 5 I have this potential draw engine, you need to deal with it. So yeah, 3 count I think is right. 2 Magic Mirror, I've fluttered between 2 and 3, but again, in terms of just trying to be a bit more consistent and not be drawing too many uninkables, we have kept at 2, and with the Queen draw engine, 2 tends to be enough. There are times that you don't get the Queen stuff going and like you have so much ink to play with and you're not seeing your mirrors to start accumulating card advantage. So sometimes you do wish you had the 3rd, but I think overall you will be more consistent just running 2. 2 Ursa's Cauldron, I love this card. It's just, again, like it doesn't innately do anything in terms of like your board state, but again, just like so often you find yourself at the mercy of your top deck because you want to be inking every turn, and sometimes like the only things you have to ink are things you really don't want to be inking. So sometimes it's just a matter of making sure you're drawing stuff that you're happy to ink, and then it's a matter of looking for the tools that you want. And it can open plays where if you've got Queen and Mirror on the field and 2 Cauldrons, then you can Cauldron. Okay, yep, I want that card, I draw with Queen, and now let's do another Cauldron. Okay, I want that one, I draw with Mirror. So you can filter it that way. And again, just seeing it early game, it's my favorite card to see in my opening hand. I think of all cards in the deck, I like to see Cauldron the most, and I was even at a 3 count at one point, but again, trying to be not greedy with our uninkables and just be a bit more consistent. And so we're at 2. We're at 3 Pocket Watch. I'm not going to lie, I was at 4 at one point. So important do I believe this card to be, and so like you need to have that online, whether it's in the mirror, you need it online in the mirror, but again, against pretty much anything else, you're probably going behind in lore count, and you need to know that by the time you get to say turn 8, you might be just hanging on and they're like 2 turns from game. Okay, now I need to be able to make an Aladdin play here and start like balancing out the lore. So I think it's such an important card to have. Again, sometimes you need to ink 1. I don't find that you tend to need more than 1 on the field. If you're running the Wayward Sorcerer Mickey, then you kind of do if you want to get the most out of your potential Broom Loops. But we're not playing Mickey, so we don't tend to want more than 1 down. There are neat situations where you would want the 2nd, but 9 times out of 10, I just want 1 down early, and then the other 2 are like I'm happy to ink them. So yeah, that is the deck. So now we're going to go into a game I recently had. This is going to be a long video. It's going to be an in-depth analysis, and I'm going to talk you through basically all my decisions, all my thought trails in the Ruby Amethist Mirror. Okay, so we go first in this particular game. This opening hand is nothing to shout about. You can see I'm already getting rid of stuff before the cards are even fully drawn. We don't want the brooms right now. Those are from later in the game. We do value the pocket watch, but we do end up throwing it away. We don't want the Elsa or the Aladdin right now. The only thing we like in this hand is the Tibbs. So we want a lot more, so we throw a lot away. We get the Rafiki, the Queen, the Cauldron, and the Shield, which we really like. We get a second Rafiki, which we're not as pleased to see, because we like having the Rafiki in the Ursa's Cauldron, but then a third uninkable is pushing it a bit, and obviously Maleficent is not going to be useful for a while, and I think that actually ends up being our first inkable. It does. So we ink that. So at this point, I'm also, the first thing, I don't know what they're playing, so I need to make a decision here to do with Sergeant Tibbs, because at the moment I'm about to ink this Maleficent, but all I've got for ink other than Tibbs is the Queen and the Shield, and I don't really want to ink either of them, because again, I'd like to get that loop off by turn 5 or 6. Well, have them both on the field by turn 5 anyway. But if the opponent is playing aggro, then I really need this Tibbs. So I'm faced with a decision here. I ink the Maleficent, and then it's a choice of, do I put this Tibbs down? But if that's the case, I then am at the mercy of my top deck for what I'm inking. Or do I hold, and if they are playing aggro and they instantly put down a 1 cost, then I am forced next turn to either hopefully top deck something that I would prefer to ink, or I have to part with something that I don't really want to. So I end up passing here. So they ink their Tibbs straight off the back, so we see that they are playing Ruby, and I guess it's a mirror match, so immediately I'm inking this Tibbs, and I get to put down the Cauldron here, and this was the other reason why I was really hoping they weren't going to put down a 1-drop, because as well as wanting to ink Tibbs, I wanted to get down this Cauldron this turn, because if I didn't get it down this turn, I potentially wasn't getting it down until turn 4, and again, I just want to start filtering my draw as quickly as I can, so I can be drawing inkables I would rather ink, basically. So I put it down, and we see Maleficent and Archimedes, and I do actually, I think this is actually a misplay. I take the Maleficent because I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going into turn 3 next turn, card draw, but I still don't have, that means if I'm drawing this Maleficent, then that means and I want to put it down, I have to part with the Queen or the Shield. So in hindsight, I think I should have taken the Archimedes here, but I do end up taking the Maleficent. I recognize that if I take this Maleficent, then I'm going to have to ink one of the cards in my hand. There's a hesitancy, but I do still end up taking it. But as soon as I take it, I think to myself, no, that was probably wrong. I should have taken the Archimedes. They throw down their own Archimedes straight away, and they ink a Mickey Brave Little Tailor. So we have confirmation that it is Ruby Amethist Mirror. So we draw our Maleficent. So before anything else, we're going to look at the top 2 cards. It hurts to throw the mirror away, but at this point in time, I really value the card draw, especially because I've not got many uninkables. So we do end up going with the friends on the other side. And here I am very hesitant, but I do end up inking this Shield of Virtue so that I can put down Maleficent this turn and equal this Archimedes. It feels bad, but again, I've got 2 more in the deck, and I don't need it to like start drawing cards with the Queen. It just obviously helps to protect her. So we finish there. We knew we were drawing the friends on the other side off of the draw, and so we don't know what we're drawing next, because obviously that was our vision off of Cauldron. They ink Aladdin, they put down Elsa, and they quest with Archimedes, and we draw into Goofy. So when you've got that Cauldron down, the first thing you should always do is look at Cauldron, unless there's a reason not to in your hand, like the first thing you want to do is play Broom, and then you want to be able to Cauldron after, for an example. And you will see a couple of turns in this game where I misplay and I don't Cauldron as the first thing on my turn, but nonetheless, yeah, here I think my thought trail is, well, this is always happening, doesn't matter what's on the top of my deck. But we take a look. We're not ready for the Be Prepared just yet. They don't have a whole lot going on. We do have Dragon's Fire, we have other things going on, and at this point in time I really just want to start drawing cards, so I do end up just taking the friends on the other side here. We sing it immediately with Maleficent because I am opening up here the chance for them to go Elsa into Maleficent, and they survive it, and then I would probably have to go, well, I wouldn't have to, but it would be in my best interest to go Rafiki into Elsa, and then they get a 2-for-1. But I just want to get this, I want to get this extra card draw. We draw a couple of an extra Goofy, so that's an easy ink target straight away. Again, they're really good in this match, but they're also perfect for ink when you need to get other things going on. And we pass over. Just a reminder, this person is playing 60 cards. I think I actually forgot to look at the cards in their hand, how many cards were in their deck for up until this point in the game. There's a point coming up, I think it's the next turn or the turn after, where I actually have a look, and that's how I was able to work out that they were all running 60 cards. They put down the pocket watch and they ink a queen, which I'm sure they're not thrilled about, which tells me they probably don't have a whole lot going in their hand, and they do challenge into Maleficent. I draw into pocket watch here. I am thankfully clever and realise that I need to cauldron first, and we already have a Dragon's Fire, but even if we didn't, we'd be taking the Archimedes here because we want to start getting some more ink. Things that we're willing to part with in terms of ink. And yeah, at this point, I do just sing with Rafiki because I want to be able to put down the queen and I want to be able to draw cards. And in my head, if they just want to quest again with Elsa, I don't mind. I don't mind them going like a few ahead. Just, like, again, this deck deals quite often with aggro going well ahead by this point in the game. So I'm happy for them to quest again if they want to. We ink the Archimedes, and yeah, I think we just immediately throw down the queen. And this basically instantly forces a dragon, like an ink and Dragon's Fire play if they want to get rid of it. Which I assume they don't have, because they immediately throw down Maleficent, which also tells me that they aren't sure what they want to ink. They don't have an easy ink target. They do end up going with Broom. And then they challenge into Rafiki with Elsa, which is fine with me. I think that was a misplay, really. It was more in their interest, I think, to just quest there, and then either force me to be the one to go in and then you're a lore pip up, or if I don't, then it's still sitting there for you to potentially be able to like exert this I know at the moment I don't have a shield down, but really you should read that I could put a shield down at any moment, and it would be nice to have the Elsa so you can then potentially respond with a Maui or something like that. But they do challenge, which suits me fine. We draw an Elsa, we do cauldron straight away. I think we take the Gaston here just for ink. Because I don't really want to ink anything in my hand. Like, again, there are things I can ink, the Goofy or the Elsa, if I want to, that's fine, but they're cards that are nice to hold on to. We get a draw off. I know that they do have a Maui response here, but if they have Maui, then that would hurt, but I just need to start drawing cards. It's unfortunate I don't have the Shield of Virtue. But I do have the second Queen that I'm able to immediately put down, and because they're only at 5 ink, they can only remove one of these queens on their next turn. Either they can go Dragon's Fire, or they can go Maui. There's no world where they can be prepared, so there's a certainty that one of these queens survives, and I still get to draw next turn. And if one goes down, then it has brought out preferably a Dragon's Fire. I'd rather burn them, but if Maui comes down, then that's just the way it is. We ink the Gaston here, and this is where I think I check their deck count. Yeah, so you saw it flash up there very quickly, 46, and I've counted, that's 46 after the card draw, so cards in the hand, cards in the field, the ink, and then there's an Archimedes and an Elsa in the banished pile. I think that's everything. So yeah, we go into their turn here, so I'm thinking, okay, show me a Dragon's Fire or a Maui. They do respond with the Dragon's Fire, which is fine with me. Again, we're burning through that removal. They ink Tibbs and they call it. They don't even quest, so that's fine with me. So we top another Elsa, we cauldron straight away. I think I take the cauldron here, and that probably is the right play, because we're not far from being able to play Maleficent, but they don't have a whole lot going on. They don't have many cards in the hand. We do have a Dragon's Fire if something pops up that we're really worried about. I would rather start filtering my draw a bit more and start building towards magic mirrors, more queens, Shield of Virtue, those sort of things. So we take the cauldron, we immediately draw it, and then I'm like, yeah, I can immediately put this down now, and I can scout once again. I think we take Aladdin here, because we do take Aladdin, because I've got a pocket watch in my hands, and so literally inking this turn brings me to 7, so it opens up next turn if I want to. Not that I necessarily would, always, but it does open up I could potentially get an Aladdin off next turn or the turn after that. So yeah, we take we do put the pocket watch down so that I open that play up to myself, because next turn I can go to 8 ink, and then I can go Aladdin for 7 and then pay the 1. Again, this is assuming that the Maleficent quests or something like that happens. They do get the Maui, which I'm guessing they topped there, otherwise we probably would have seen it before. Go straight in, and then they quest up, which is fine. They ink Elsa, and I think that's all unless they were to top a mirror there. So we draw Aladdin, which we know is happening, so the first thing I should do here is Cauldron, so I hope I do. Unless my thought trail is just, well, this is always happening no matter what the top card of my deck is. And we go into Maleficent specifically because Maui can't quest and it's reckless, so there's no point me going into Maui because that just removes us both, and then Maleficent sits there and quests. I go into Maleficent because I survived the hit, stops them from questing next turn, and they have to go into me with Maui, and that gets it off the field. So just sequencing, really. So as soon as I do that, I take a look at the top. I think I take Maleficent because I still want more card draw. I've just lost my queen, so I want card draw. I think now, though, when we Cauldron again, we do take the shield because it's just such an important resource, and I know I've got queens in here, I've got an Aladdin here, or I might be able to get some tempo off, and we're able to ink, and we just put down Goofy here, and again, we just, like, if they want to play Be Prepared next turn, because they're about to draw, so my thought trail is, okay, if you want to be prepared, then, like, you might ink something, then you play Be Prepared, you wipe the field, you've got one card in your hand, and I've got, like, going into my turn, I'll have 3 cards in my hand and 2 Cauldrons. That's a really nice situation to be in. So if they want to play it, then I'm happy with that. And if they don't, then I'm going to start applying some pressure here. And maybe it baits out a Dragon's Fire or something, but again, make them have those cards, and, you know, why not? They do get their own Shield of Virtue. They go into Rafiki as they have to. And we draw into the shield, which we knew. We take a look at the top. I think I take Maleficent here. I think I lull this over for a little while, even though I've sped this matchup 130%. But yeah, I lulled this over for a little while because I think, do I just want the certain ink? But at the same time, even though I've got the Dragon's Fire, we are getting to that point where, like, they might have a couple of big things in a row. So I want to have a response, even though I'm also thinking I don't want to ink this shield or this Aladdin. And if I'm drawing this Maleficent next turn, that means I'm not inking next turn, which feels bad, but because they don't have a whole lot going on, I feel a little bit better about it, about being a little bit slower. So I do end up taking the Maleficent because I know I'm going to need it soon. We take another look at the next card anyway, and I think I actually end up switching and taking Goofy here. Do I, or do I keep Maleficent? I do end up taking Goofy here. And I think my thought trail probably just becomes, oh, okay, well, this turn I can now shield. And then if you do have a response card next turn, like Maleficent or Dragon's... If you have Dragon's Fire, I can put down another Goofy. If you have Maleficent, then I can Dragon's Fire. And then the turn after that, I'll be able to Goofy. Yeah, I think that's my thought trail. And again, Maleficent's, even though it would be nice to have one now, I'm able to put on a bit more pressure this way. At this point in the game, because they have limited resources. So we put down the shield, we quest with Goofy, we still use Shield of Virtue because we've got the ink. Why not use it? Especially because, again, they could have their own. They could have a Tigger. I don't know that. So that they could put down a Tigger, Pocket Watch, and then go into me. So, you know, you might as well still use it. Don't assume just because you're evasive that you're fine. Now they get down their mirror, and this is where I do start to worry a little bit, because I was like, okay, I do have 2 Cauldrons, and I do have an Aladdin and a Dragon's Fire. So I have a couple of response cards, but they're going to start drawing cards every turn now. And if I can't get something going, they're going to outpace me and just have more resources. So they draw, they ink Mickey, and that's when I get my confirmation that they are running the Broom package. We knew that we were drawing Goofy. I quest because it's always happening. I think I take Archimedes here because I know I need the ink. I know I need to start building to that, like, not that... I know I need to start building ink. So we take a look again. I still think I keep the Archimedes here because I know I need to ink. I do consider taking a Goofy again, but... we go there, and I do consider throwing down the Goofy here. I think ultimately I decide not to, because if they do have Be Prepared this turn, then yeah, they play it, but it doesn't leave me with a whole lot going on now that they've got Mirror. If they didn't have the Mirror, I might have considered it, but if they do Be Prepared, then I've just lost 2, and they're gonna, again, they're in a position where they've got their card draw engine, and I do not. So I opt not to. They immediately draw a card, so I know I'm not seeing Ink Maleficent. There was a possibility I was seeing Ink Dragon's Fire, but they throw down a Broom, so I know I'm not seeing that, and they throw back their own Dragon's Fire into the deck, and they call it a turn. We draw Archimedes. We take a look at the top. There's the Queen, which is exactly what we want to see. We need to start drawing cards. We ink up. We take another look just because it's always, like, again, it's worth it. We quest, and again, I don't play anything for the same reasons I just stated. I don't want to give them too much value. They do respond with a Dragon's Fire here, and again, if I'd have Goofied there, then it might have baited the Be Prepared, and I prefer it this way, because if they've got one Dragon's Fire, one Be Prepared, if I put both out there, then, and they be prepared, they've still got the Dragon's Fire left. Whereas if I just put down one, make them Dragon's Fire, then the second, make them be prepared, make them use all the resources. So we go into our turn, we have a look at the Cauldron. At this point, I've got the ink, and again, they've got Mirror, their cards are starting to, they're going to start drawing cards now, it's going to start getting serious, and I'm going to need this be prepared at some point soon. So we take it, we immediately throw down this Queen, we take another look just because it's always worth it, but we keep the be prepared, and we go into the opponent's turn. So they've got 4 cards, 8 ink to play with, they immediately throw down Aladdin. And they must know that I can re-ready with Shield of Virtue, but there's every possibility that they are holding an Elsa, and they want to be able to just throw down the Aladdin this turn, and then next turn get their big Aladdin play off, especially if I throw down a second card. So I think that's their thought trail from throwing down this Aladdin. The quest up with Broom, they can't re-ready it. We draw into the Be Prepared that we know we're seeing. We've got a Dragon's Fire so that we can completely cancel this play. And if they do have the Elsa, then they're really wasting it, throwing it down right now. And again, we've got the Be Prepared. So we immediately burn that, and we're able to get one draw off. We draw into Mickey. We take that was I think that's the first example of me not using Cauldron when I should have. I should have taken a look there and seen what was coming next. I forgot, and then I immediately caught it, and I was like, darn, I didn't. So we take a look. I think I put Aladdin at the top there. I think that's what I put at the top there. Hold on. No, I did go with the Queen, which is the right decision, because again, as soon as I lose this Queen, I lose my draw engine again. So we re-ready with Shield of Virtue, and we take another look just because it's always worth it. We want another Queen. I'm pretty sure I take the Queen. I probably consider friends on the other side, but we go with the Queen. Not worth drawing again here and it being exerted, because for a couple of reasons. One, we want to save her. We want to start drawing cards. At the moment, they don't have a lot of cards, so their odds of having removal are slimmer. And again, if they want to use their big removal cards like Maleficent and stuff on like a Queen, then I'm pretty happy with that. That's what I call value. But I also give them a free Broom Loop turn, because they can throw down their Mickey, and then they can challenge with Broom, go back, and then they can put it down. They can get a pocket wide. Like, I just give them a couple of free, like, this is what I mean about, like, just play around Mickey. It's not too hard to do. Like, sometimes it feels bad because you want to you want to push. But no, in this situation, it makes all the sense to just keep her there. And also, like, there's every odds that they've got a Maui, and I don't want to make it that easy for them. So they choose to throw down another Aladdin. So I really do think they're holding the Elsa at this point. They really want to make this play. So we draw here. We take a look at the discard. I don't know what I'm checking there. I'm pretty sure I am smart enough to remember to Cauldron this turn. We take the Elsa because, again, we're at that point in the game where we can start getting use out of her, and Rafiki isn't doing as much at this point. We take the draw. We immediately, like, I get into a habit of re-readying straight away so that I don't make a mistake of playing other cards and then being like, oh no, I've not got enough ink and I wanted to re-ready. So just get in a habit of doing it straight away. We go with Goofy here. Yeah, because my thought trail is, okay, you've got an Aladdin down. I'm not going to make this easy for you. If you've got Be Prepared and you want to wipe this board, then you can also deal with, like, you also wipe your own Aladdin that you've just put down, which must feel bad for them. If you want to extend with Maleficent or Elsa, then I have then that's fine. I have that's a pretty good value Be Prepared for on my end as far as I'm concerned. And it's something that even if they do choose to Elsa, they're not going to be able to target Goofy with Aladdin because of evasive. They might get my Queen, but at this point, they've got so few cards in their hand, and if they make that play, they won't be able to draw with Magic Mirror. I'm quite happy to do this and say, okay, you're going up to 4 cards next turn. If you want to Elsa next turn and make a big play, then you'll be left with 3 cards in your hand, and I get to go Be Prepared, and I'm just going to out-resource you, essentially, and that's what I'm looking to do with control. We take a look at the top. We keep Maleficent at the top, and I very nearly missed this, but I do make the decision to go straight into Broom, because again, if they do end up going with a Mickey play, not that they should be able to Mickey and exert my Queen, but nonetheless, I take it off the field and just stop it being there as a potential extra card for them to put down Mickey and just start generating advantage off. They do end up putting down the Elsa, which I'm guessing they've had it for a couple of turns. Just went back a little bit, but yeah, they do put down the Elsa, they exert our Queen and our Goofy, so they do manage to get an Aladdin turn off, but again, that's fine. Like, they're going to take the Lord to 7-4, but I'm fine with that. Like, we are perfectly fine, and we have a really easy be prepared next turn, if we want to. They ink a Maui, so we do draw Maleficent, and do I be prepared here? I've got a feeling I might. Do I go Maleficent here? I'm about to find out. I definitely consider it. What do I end up doing here? I think, yeah, we do end up going be prepared. I think I consider going Maleficent to get rid of the Elsa. And then I consider inking something so that I can then just pocket watch and challenge into Aladdin. But that clears the field and I lose Maleficent, but I keep Goofy. But then I also have to ink the Queen, Aladdin, or Broom, which I'm not crazy about. I don't really want to do. And my thought trail is, yeah, that's what I do here. My thought trail is, okay, well, I can just be prepared here, which is good value for an Aladdin and an Elsa. And then I've got enough ink that I can just immediately put Broom down on the field, which is pretty sure what I do. And yeah, I don't Cauldron straight up. That's the reason I don't Cauldron straight away this turn, because I do think I thought this through before I did anything. Even though I probably considered a few things. But yeah, we put down Broom and we just immediately put the one be prepared that we've used back into the deck. And now is the time to Maui. Hi Maui. It's the Cauldron. I'm pretty sure we take Elsa here again. We take a look just to see. And I think I switched to Aladdin here because my thought trail is, okay, so if you now put down something. Basically, I want to have multiple Aladdins in a row. I want to make them deal with multiple Aladdins in a row as opposed to Elsas in a row. So we go with the Aladdin and we pass over to them. They clearly don't have a lot going on, but they do draw and put down a Queen and they ink the shield. We draw into Aladdin as we knew we would. This is easy Maleficent here because now we're at a point where, okay, great. We've also got the Broom sitting here, which we can. I'm not sure if I do. I think yeah, I consider not questing here. Hold on, let me see the turn play out, and then I'll explain my full thoughts with the Broom, because I think I do quest, but it's not an easy. Yeah, I do. So we throw down the Maleficent to deal with their character, and this is a great position because now, if all they have really is like Dragon's Fire draw, then that's fine with me. I've still got Broom here, and I'm just going to sit here and quest and make them respond. If they choose to be prepared, then that's great value just for a Maleficent and a Broom. I'm absolutely fine with that. If they have their own Maleficent, then that's harder to deal with the current cards in our hands, but at least we can keep re-readying our Broom with Virtue. And we do have Elsa and Aladdin in our hand. We have Queen here, so like the odds are, and again, 2 Cauldrons, so odds are we'd find a way of answering that Maleficent before too long. But yeah, I consider not questing here because, again, they do have an Aladdin Pocket Watch turn here. But again, my thought trail is, okay, well, if you're doing that, then you're not responding to this Maleficent. You would have to draw. You would have to ink to 11 if you want to then pay 7 for Aladdin, and then another one for Pocket Watch. That's 8. And then if you want to re-ready yourself with Shield of Virtue, then that's going to take quite a lot, and then you're not dealing with this Maleficent. So I end up making the decision, okay, it probably is worth just questing here, and if you want to play out your Aladdin, then that's another one that I'm hopefully going to then be able to deal with quite easily. They draw a card with Mirror, they Dragon's Fire the Maleficent, which is fine with me because they can't do anything else, so we've got our Broom still sitting here. We draw Friends on the other side, we take a look at the top 2. What did I take there? I do take the Maleficent because I've already got a shield down, and I would like another one, but I also want to be drawing cards because I'm aware that I don't have any instant removal. I want more Dragon's Fires, I want Maleficents, I want things like that. So I think that's why I take the Maleficent here. Also, it's because it's just another smaller body that I can put on the field to start applying some pressure and maybe bait out, be prepared, and things like that. We put down the Queen because again they don't have a lot of cards at the moment, and I want to be. I still don't have my Mirror down, and I don't have enough cards as far as Ruby Amethist wants more options than this. And again, if this baits out their hard removal, then I'm perfectly fine with them doing that with Queens, especially when I don't have as many cards as I'd like, but I've got options. We keep the Maleficent at the top, and then we pass over. They ink a Gaston, which, yeah, again, doesn't have as many uses in this game. They get, once again, they're able to Magic Mirror and then Dragon's Fire again. So by this point, I'd like to know right now how many have been used. But yeah, we've already gone through a couple. We look at the cauldron, and there are two mirrors right next to each other, and like so quickly do you see me throw down this Maleficent, so quickly down goes the mirror. We quest up. Instead of drawing, I do re-ready with Broom, because again, I don't want to throw them. Again, sometimes it's fine to bait out the Aladdins, but at the moment, while I'm doing this and just sitting here and questing, I'm baiting out Dragon's Fires and things like that. Like, I'm baiting out bigger stuff for them to deal with it. I think I kept a Goofy at the top there. No, I did keep the Goofy, because again, that's more pressure that I can put on that isn't my Aladdins and Elsas, which, you know, are more big, like, you want, they're big finishers. You want a lot more out of those. They ink Maleficent, they draw a card, and they throw down Rafiki. I'm guessing, I don't know what they've got here, but they obviously don't want to fall too behind in lore racing. Plus, again, when I can only re-ready one of these guys, so they'd like to probably be able to challenge into it next turn, but they don't want to have to pay for it next turn, so that's probably their thought trail. We take a look at Cauldron straight away. There's a Maleficent, which, again, we've been digging for some hard removal. We quest with Maleficent, and we instantly put her back, because, again, just get into a habit of it if you know you want to do it, like, before you do other things. Otherwise, sometimes you can accidentally play too many cards to a point where you're like, oh, no, I've spent too many ink, I got carried away. But I'm pretty sure I end up just singing this with Maleficent here, because, again, I am... like, they'll get value from Rafiki here, but I'm kind of okay with it. I just want to draw more cards, and potentially still be able to, like, either draw with Magic Mirror this turn, or maybe I already had the Goofy in my hand, so potentially put that down. We see a Be Prepared, which, again, we don't have one, so even when we do have Be Prepared, we probably usually take them unless we really, like, need to take the other card. But yeah, like, we want one of those in our hand. And yeah, I think that was my thought trail, because I want to be able to put down Goofy here. And again, if they want to Be Prepared now, that's still not bad value at all. A Broom, a Maleficent, and a Goofy, I will take that every day of the week. And then they're also getting rid of their own Rafiki, which they've only just put down on the field. I think I actually consider extending with Tibbs as well, but I think ultimately I make what is the right decision and just ink it. Because at the moment, you know, I've been fine hovering between sort of like 8 to 10 ink. That's fine for this part of the game. But I would eventually like to get to that 14. The 15 is the really sweet mark for one specific play, which you will see at the end of this game. We quest up with Broom. Again, I've already got the Maleficent down here, and again, I am aware that I'm opening up Rafiki, Shield, Rafiki, but if they're doing that, that's probably because they're not holding Be Prepared. And if they want to play their own, if they want to do that and clear Maleficent and Broom, and then the second one would take out their Rafiki as well, and then they want a Maleficent my Goofy, then I will just Maleficent their Maleficent. And again, I'm back in board control, and now I have cauldrons and mirrors, and yeah, it's looking good. They quest, yeah, so I think they do throw down Be Prepared here. They draw, and then they Be Prepared. I'm not sure if they drew the Be Prepared, but either way, they ink a Maui. I think what was I checking for here? Hold on. Yeah, so at this point, we've seen 2 Aladdins, 3 Dragon's Fires, 1 Be Prepared, and 1 Elsa as sort of like the big stuff. So we go into our turn, we draw the Be Prepared that we knew that we were going to see. I'm looking at my own resources here. Yeah, I've used like 1 Dragon's Fire, 1 Maleficent at this point. So yeah, I'm doing really well in the resource race as it is. We keep the Archimedes because I want it for ink. We draw a card at this point. I'm quite happy to do that, and then we just put down this Archimedes and use that for pressure. I think I take Maleficent here because again they don't have many. I'm not expecting them to do a big overextension anytime soon. And if they do, I've already got one. I'm expecting, if anything, single things to come down that I'm going to want to remove one at a time. So we go with the Maleficent, and we just end. And again, we just got an Archimedes down here, which is just going to keep questing and Shield of Virtuing me up. So they need to deal with it, and I'm thinking that. At this moment in time, I'm thinking it. And boom, down comes the Maleficent. Owl gets obliterated by a Dragon's Fire from Maleficent. I think I audibly R-ed here. But yeah, we draw into another Maleficent. We pop one down. Instant revenge. So yeah, we pop that down. Uses all our ink, but that's fine. I think we take an Archimedes. Again, either I can ink it, or again, I can use it to apply pressure next turn. But then I think off of this, no, I do decide to keep the Archimedes because I've got 2 Aladdin in hand. That's fine, and if that means there's an Aladdin at the bottom, closer to the bottom of my deck, which may be a good, like when we get to the end of the game, if we're both near the end of our deck, might be a nice closer. I'd rather get my ink up at the moment, so we finish there. We do bait out, I think that's the last Dragon's Fire, so we've done really well. They are able to draw up, and they throw down their own Archimedes. We take a look at the top. It's all about Gaston, and in that, sometimes if it's a card that you want to see, then you would draw with the mirror, and then you would Cauldron. But in this instance, I don't really want to see Gaston. I kind of want to see something a bit more interesting. We do... Yeah, we take the Elsa because now, so this is where just Elsa is so good, because now I can put this down and I am threatening a big Aladdin play next turn where I'm going to start, or I'm going to make the lore essentially. Well, they'll probably quest to 9, but then next turn I could... Well, even if they do quest to 9, they might not, but because they should know that I can exert them with Elsa anyway. They quest to 9, and then I've got the chance to make it 11-7. So that's a nice tempo shift, especially when they don't have many cards in their hand. And then if they do have an instant response for Aladdin, then again, I've got Maleficent in my hand. So this is really nice press to just put down on the field. I think I double up with Archimedes, because again, if they want to burn through or be prepared with this, that is fine with me. Or again, if they want to use an Elsa on this, like I want to burn, I want them playing their big cards and on stuff that I'm not as fussed about. They throw down a Queen, they quest up with Archimedes, and they ready back up. But yeah, I think now, yeah, they draw, and now I think I just do exactly what I've just said, but I do it to the Queen, obviously, since it's gone down. We exert the Queen up, and again, I know I'm opening up a response play for them to do their own Aladdin, or for them, like, again, I want them to, like, I'm just putting them constantly under pressure, and they don't have loads of cards. Like, they're getting to a point now where they have enough ink where they can draw with Mirror and them still put down Maleficents and, like, big stuff. But they don't have a lot going on yet. We are out-resourced, like, we have card control, essentially. So we want to put that pressure on and make them respond in big ways. They do respond with their own Aladdin, and this does open up quite a big turn for them, because they're able to go, they're able to go there into Elsa. They ready back up again. They play this absolutely right. They go into the Archimedes, so they're able to switch this to 11-8. And then, yeah, Archimedes in there. But that took up they're not even able to draw with Magic Mirror. That took up a lot, and I'm now... So at this point, with this hand, I'm not too thrilled, because I don't really want a Dragon's Fire or Maleficent Aladdin that's nearly already gone. But again, sometimes you just have to. I can go with my own Aladdin and, like, make the lore 10-9, but I want more use out of my Aladdin. I'm really looking for that 2-for-1 special. So I think to myself, well, I've got 2 Cauldrons here to play with. I still have a fair few low-cost characters in my deck. I've got pretty good odds that I'm going to get one. And lo and behold, straight away we see Maleficent Broom. And again, these were good odds. I've still got a few more of these in my deck. There's Gastons as well. I think I end up taking the Broom at this point, because I'm a bit happier with the cards in my hand. I've got a mirror down, and I've gone through a couple of resources. So again, immediately that's my first thought. I do take the Broom. Unfortunately, you can't, if you're on that Cauldron screen, you can hide to have a look at the main screen, but you can't look at the discard pile. Please, Pixelborn creators, if you haven't already been kind enough creating this program for free and maintaining it and all those things, but if it's ever convenient to do so, could you make it so that we could please see the banish pile off the hide screen from Cauldron? Would love it. So yeah, I'm looking here and I'm weighing up options. We have enough to play Mirror, and then we can. I think I'd take Aladdin here. No, we do take a Maleficent here. I do consider Aladdin, but I know I've got the one in my hand. There's one more in my deck, and I've already used a Maleficent, and I know they've gone through a lot of theirs, so I should just be able to outpace them with it. And yeah, I've got the Pocket Watch down, so I'm just instantly able to go into Aladdin here and just get crazy value. We see a Be Prepared at the top. We do take it. Now they've got Shield of Virtue down. They're like, Maui won't be as useful as often. He still can be, because sometimes they make a big move and they don't have enough ink to use Shield. But at this point, I'd rather just have more removal stuff, especially because, again, they don't have the biggest hand, but they're going into 5 cards and they still have Mirror. So I want to be prepared. So they draw a card with Magic Mirror here. They play Friends on the other side. And they throw down a Mickey. So at this point, I'm thinking, okay, so they want to be able to make a Broom turn next turn, but I don't even have anything out at the moment. So part of me wonders if they're just trying to start doing some baiting of their own. So we draw Be Prepared, and yeah, I do just throw down the Maleficent and just insta-clear it, because again, you know, they've already gone through a lot of their removal. If they want to respond with Maleficent of their own, then I've got a Dragon's Fire in my hand, or if they really want to overextend, I've got to Be Prepared. But yeah, I don't want to make a Mickey loop turn easy for them. So I go with the Maleficent here, But I am aware, we take a look at a couple of cauldrons and we take the Elsa, but I am aware that there is still a potential broom loop turn here, because they can theoretically, they can go up to 15 ink this turn, and they can go Elsa for 8, Mickey, which total cost 12, Broom becomes total cost 13 because it's less, and they can White Rabbit's Pocket Watch, and they can instantly challenge into Maleficent. They would then be able to have, they would have enough ink then to put down a Broom again, but they don't have a second Pocket Watch, and if they did want to put a second one down, they wouldn't have enough ink for all of that. So I do know that I'm opening up a Mickey turn here potentially, but my thought trail is, okay, so you do that, you get to use Broom twice, and then you've just used so much of your hand to, and it extended on the field. You've still not dealt with Maleficent, and I have Be Prepared here, which I like, potentially I can just Dragon's Fire and then challenge with Maleficent to deal with the board, or I can just sing Be Prepared with Maleficent and then just draw cards. So like, I'm perfectly happy with if they want to go for a Broom loop turn here. They opt to ink Friends on the other side. And again, this is the thing, the Mickey package wants a nice big ink count, and this person ends up going higher and higher than this as well, and I just don't think it's necessary, because like, I end up getting a little bit higher than I am here in terms of ink count, but like, just think of the amount of resources that they're just throwing away, and sometimes you need to, but I'm not sure there was a need to throw that away there, especially if they want to make a Mickey turn. They want to then have cards that like start rebuilding their resources again. But again, I don't know their complete hand. We take a look through the resources. I think I remember them inking a Mickey earlier anyway. They opt to just draw with Mirror and put down Queen. So in my head, I'm like, okay, either you don't want to make this Mickey Broom loop turn now because you know you'll be putting yourself down to the low hand size, and you know I've got Be Prepared, so you recognise that it wouldn't necessarily be the best play, or you are missing a piece. I have no idea. Nonetheless, they put down the Queen, we draw into Elsa, and I think obviously I take a look at I do a cauldron check, we choose to take Aladdin, and the reason I don't look at the other cauldrons, I'm thinking about drawing it with Magic Mirror, because we just quest and we instantly re-ready. And I do have the option here to Dragon's Fire this Queen, and I do consider it. I think I take a while considering it, but I think I opt not to in the end. Let the turn finish, and then I'll talk through my complete thoughts on like what was really going on in my head. Because yeah, I think a couple of times I very nearly do play it. But again, I'm aware that they still have Maleficents left. I don't know if they're playing Ursula's. I don't know if they're playing. Well, I've seen them ink Brave Little Tailor, so I don't know how many of those we're gonna see. They might still be playing Goofies. I don't know. And again, like they already have some cards in their hand, and they have Mirror, and like it's not like I'm crazy about them getting lots of momentum off of Queen. But my thought trail is, okay, well if the worst you do this turn is draw Shield of Virtue to put it to ready it again, and then you bring something down like Maleficent to deal with my Maleficent, then I have an easy Be Prepared next turn instead. And if you don't deal with my Maleficent, then I'm happy if you just draw a card, and then I'll go up to 12 next. I'll just like start pacing you and make you react, and then I've got Be Prepared and Aladdin's, and I've got loads of stuff here that I can react myself. So I want them to be making their big plays, while I've got card advantage, while I feel like I can respond to it better. So I think that's why I opt eventually not to play Dragon's Fire. We end up having double Gaston, which is fine, because I do want to start getting a couple more things in the Inkwell. So we pass over to their turn, and I'm pretty sure this is the turn. We take a look, they've got 14 cards. I think I'm at like 18, something like that. They ink Maleficent, which again, it's a body that can put pressure on and like make me like bait out Be Prepared and things like that. And like even if they don't want to draw with it, they don't have to. You can opt not to. They just want a bigger Inkwell, and I think it ends up really coming back to bite. They do execute order Broom Loop. They throw down Elsa so that they can exert Maleficent. They throw down Mickey. They throw down Broom for a cheaper cost, so they get one recycle of a resource here, which is Elsa, which makes sense. They get to pocket watch, so they can instantly challenge, and obviously that's going to put that back to their hand because of Mickey. And they're now able to throw another one down. They've got enough ink to get themselves a second resource, but again, because they don't have a second pocket watch down, they can't now challenge again and get even more. So they take Aladdin, which again makes sense to me because they want to make a lore shift, and then they opt to quest with the Queen, which I think is a huge misplay, because even if I've got Be Prepared, make me pay the full price for it. Don't let me sing it. Because they even though I don't ready up because it's Elsa because of Elsa's effect, I've got the Shield of Virtue here. Maybe they just missed in that moment that I had the Shield of Virtue and thought, well, you're still going to have to pay for Be Prepared. So maybe that's why they opted not to go for the challenge. But even if you're not going to challenge, at least draw the cards. Like, I think their portrait is just, okay, you know, I have some things out this turn. If they don't have the Be Prepared, which is a heck of a high roll to, like, point POV to take, but sometimes you just have to sort of like, I've got to really hope that you don't have it because then next turn I quest big. But it wouldn't have made a difference because next turn they can quest for a total of 7. Queen, Elsa, Mickey and Broom, which would take them to 19. Like, if that was taking them to 13, so they would have potential game next turn if I can't. I mean, they know I can deal with it because I can challenge in with Maleficent, but at least make me do that, and then that takes out my Maleficent as well. Like, at least make me have these responses. But no, as it stands, it doesn't really make a massive difference with the current lore race. Like, it could have long-term benefit, but at this point in time, especially with all the cards you've just put down, and next turn you draw, and then you can draw once again with Magic Mirror, but that's still not a lot. I'd rather have another card, but they opt to quest. So it goes into our turn, and I'm pretty sure, like, I maybe weigh up the idea of, like, making an Aladdin play here or an Elsa play here, but I ultimately decide you've got barely anything going on. I've got 3 Be Prepared in my hand. It makes so much more sense to just ready up, sing this for free, and then I've still got 7 ink to play with which I can immediately, let's take a look at the top of the deck. I hope that's what I do anyway. I take the shield because I threw it away earlier, but again, really, you want 2 on the field. I do think I take the draw here, as opposed to going for it. Yeah, I take the draw because I want that shield. And then we take a look at Cauldron, and I might take the Friends on the other side here because I'm like, I've got 2 Be Prepared in my hand. I've got a Dragon's Fire. I've got a lot going on, but I would like, I don't have a lot going on that I can preemptively start applying lore pressure. I want to find Goofies and Mickeys or other low cost characters so that I can start like just questing without putting down my big guys. So I think that's why I opt to take Friends on the other side there, just because I want the card draw. We ink Gaston, that's a perfect thing to start getting us up. They do draw Mirror, and they opt not to draw at all here, which I think has got to do with their card count. And again, unfortunately, me of the past obviously didn't have a look at their card count there. But we just take a look at some things going on, and we take the Maleficent because we've, like, again, we always like to have a Maleficent in our hand. Or was that me checking? Yes, that was me checking. So I've got 18 to their 15. So that's probably why they don't want to draw there, because they know they're not too far from decking out. But I think we're in this situation, you kind of got to, right? With a Sahan my size, you've got to assume that I can extend next turn. And you've got not a lot, like, again, they can just do the draws next turn, but I don't know. I think I'm always taking the draws there, with the board state as it is. But yeah, I don't want to put down, I think I do put down Aladdin here. I don't really like to do this because I like to know, I don't really like to put down Aladdin until I know I'm insta-challenging with him. But in this situation, I'm like, you have hardly anything going on. It's 10-12. I want to start applying pressure, and if you do have response cards, I want you to play them so that I can get rid of them. And I want to advance the game and put on pressure while you don't have a whole lot going on. So that is why I think I opt to put down Aladdin there. I do take the draw here because it's safe. That puts me to 17 to their 15. I know I still have Brooms as well, and we know we draw in the Maleficent as well. So we pass over to them. They do go with their own Maleficent, which is fine by me. I'm like, yep, let's just get them done, because now I have a response Maleficent, which I just instantly throw down. And okay, now just have a response as well. I'm just making them have responses. We take the Maleficent because, again, we don't need a second mirror, and I'd rather have more smaller bodies to put on the field and apply pressure. We take another look, and we confirm we would prefer the Maleficent. They draw. So again, they got their Broom, their Elsa and Broom turn off, but it just wasn't worth it. They recycled an Aladdin and Elsa, but even if they draw those, what are they doing from here? Like, they just gave up so much, like, card advantage that they had built back. They're able to not remove my Maleficent, so I'm able to quest and insta to put them back. I think... Do I put down Maleficent this turn? Yes. So I Cauldron, it's double Maui. I Cauldron again, and now I see the Mickey. Because I'm not sure if I want to put this Maleficent down, because, again, they've not used all their Be Prepared, so I would rather them be prepared just to Maleficent. If that's all they have, they might have to. They might be forced to, and then I can just put down this Maleficent the following turn. But because I see the Mickey, that makes me throw Maleficent down and insta-draw it, even though I'd have drawn it next turn anyway. But my thought trail is, okay, now I want you to play Be Prepared. I know you've gone through Dragon's Fires. I know you don't have many Maleficents left. I want to see a Be Prepared here now so that I feel safer that Mickey will survive a turn potentially, because with Mickey, I'm 2 turns from... Again, we're in that situation, what I talked about earlier. I am 2 turns from game if they can't respond to this Mickey. So we just throw him down immediately. We take a look at the top 2. I think I can take Gaston for ink here. But then we see the Broom and we're like, oh, actually, no, I think I'd rather take the Broom because I have gone through a couple... I've got some resources that would be nice to recycle now, again, while they don't have many cards. Let's win this game. So we pass over, so they draw once with Mirror, they draw again. They do have a response here. I'm not sure at what point they drew the response, but again, we make them play another Be Prepared. I'm not sure how many they've used at this point, but we are now, because we knew we had Broom. I think I'd consider if I want to Cauldron and then Maleficent, but I Cauldron, I take a look at the top 2. I'm not interested in either of them. So instead of going Cauldron again, I Broom, because I know I want to do that this turn and I want to put something back. And I consider the Maleficents. I don't need to use the Be Prepared. I think I consider the Aladdin as well, but I opt for the Mickey because, again, they've used so much of their hard removal, and this is just going to apply so much pressure if I can put it down again. I misplay there. I should have gone Cauldron. So again, I knew there were a couple of occasions in this game where I do forget. We ink the Pocket Wash. I don't feel the need to have another one down. And again, I'm happy to build up my ink a little bit more. Double Maui, so no bother. And we end. There's no need to play Friends on the other side because, again, at the moment, they are decking out before us. So we're happy to leave it there. They throw down Aladdin. I'm guessing, we know they put back an Elsa not too long ago, so either they have it or they can draw it, they can mirror twice and then still play it potentially if they draw it, because they know that they need to win this game. If they're going to do it, they need to do it quickly. So yeah, they put that down. Either they've already got the Elsa or they are hoping for it and they want to throw it down and get a big Aladdin turn next turn. Like with Shield of Virtue taking both of these, that's a big swing. Thankfully, I just instantly have the Dragon's Fire. We've used them really sparingly. There was a couple of times where we could have just burnt them on queens and things like that, but there wasn't a real necessity. So yeah, it's just using them sparingly. We quest up, we ready. We quest up, we ready. Like, they have to go Elsa or Be Prepared or something here. We find the Mickey again, which we're very pleased to see. And this costs me. I could have like spoilers. I win. I could have won the game a turn sooner if I'd have inked there. I opt not to. We pass over. We keep Mickey at the top. I'll explain what I just said about not inking the Maui when we get to it. Oh yeah, this is me looking through their resources. So yeah, we've gone through all the Dragon's Fires and a couple of Be Prepared, but there are still Maleficents. Yeah, we've gone through 3 Be Prepared, but there are still Maleficents. They ink their Maui, and they do the same thing again. They put down Aladdin. I think they extend a little bit more of Rafiki here just for some extra pressure, or potentially, like, they want to bait my Be Prepareds. I'm pretty sure this is all they do this turn. They do opt to draw the card. We draw into Mickey. So what do I do here? So we take a look at the top. I think I just take the watch for more ink. And then we see the Dragon's Fire, so we end up... Yeah, that ends up being our move, I'm pretty sure, here. I think I take a look at the card count, and I think I'm like 10 to 5. So we take the draw, and we just again take that play away from them, that big Elsa play that they could make with Aladdin. We quest just the once. I don't think I quest with Broom here, because again, I don't like they could still potentially have... I think that might be all their Aladdins, but in my head, I think I was like, well, they can still go Elsa and then another Aladdin. Which again wouldn't matter if I'd have quested there, but again I opt not to quest. Let's not make it easy for them if they've got another Aladdin. That's my thought trail. They go Gaston Maleficent, which is the most... That's bait if ever I've seen it. Like, putting down Gaston, as far as I'm concerned, is just disrespectful at this point. We've both agreed that it's not useful in this game. We've both been inking them really quickly. This is the most please be prepared me I have ever seen in my life. Because this doesn't bother me at all. Like, it's 15 to 12. We both have 2 lore pips on the field. They're Rafiki and Maleficent to my Broom and Maleficent. Gaston's doing nothing. This is the most be prepared bait I've ever seen, and we have no need for it. So we quest, we ready, we quest, and we ready. And I think I just leave it there. I think I leave it there because I know there's another be prepared. So like, I don't want to Mickey here. That's not value as far as I'm concerned. We do end up taking the be prepared because we're so close to the end of the game. I don't know why I went Cauldron twice in a row there. Oh, no, because the card would have changed. It just ended up being Gaston. It was a pure coincidence. Do I Mickey here? I hope I don't. Or maybe I do, which probably wasn't the right play. In my head, I was probably like, well, you've only got 1 be prepared left. Let's just make you have it and get rid of it. Yeah, that's probably my thought trail. I just went, okay, well, you've just extended a bit, so if you're going to play Be Prepared, play it. And I probably had in my head as well that they might have Maleficent. And then that would just bait my own Be Prepared, which I think is what ultimately happens here. They ready back up with the shield. I think what I mull it over for a while here because, again, I have potential. In fact, yeah, I actually missed that. Yeah, that was a misplay as well. I completely missed that. Even in just having a quick look back over the game, I technically have game here if I just go Aladdin, Pocket Watch, Maleficent, game. Yeah, so I do misplay here. I ready these back up, even though I know that I'm contemplating going Be Prepared. I'm like, well, if I do go Be Prepared, I'm not playing anything else in my hand. I'm not drawing with Mirror because card count. So I think I just ready them up while I'm thinking. Yeah, plus I think there was a point in my head where I was considering going just Elsa here and just using Broom and Maleficent to go into their Maleficent and their Gaston, potentially. And then I could pocket watch the Elsa to go into the Rafiki. And then I make them, because then I have getting the game next turn with Elsa, and I make them either Be Prepared their own Maleficent or play a second Maleficent, which I then get more value out of Be Prepared. So I think that's my consideration, but I opt ultimately here just to go Be Prepared. Yeah, again, I'm really filtering with this Elsa play. Not seeing completely that I literally just have game if I go Aladdin and in Maleficent. So yeah, that's definitely a misplay on my behalf. Very much so. That could have cost me, but yeah, I filter with it for a while, but I'm 99% sure. Yeah, I'm really indecisive about this. I'm 99% sure. Yeah, I do just go with the Be Prepared. And we finish up there because they've got 1 card left in their deck, and I'm just going to make them be the one to play cards, and I will respond. And again, I know like they're going to have to start playing down the Brooms that they have soon. I think they play nothing there because I'm pretty sure they have a Maleficent and they don't want to play it against nothing. So I think it's probably a misplay though, either way. Like, again, it would feel bad for me just Maleficent and then not to have a target with it. But they've got no cards. I should have, again, this is another turn where I should have inked that Maui. We will come back to that, where that was a misplay to have not inked one of these Mauis, either on the previous turn that I mentioned or there. And the reason that was a misplay is because if I had played Maui that turn, then I would have given myself, even though we've just pointed out that I didn't see game on the previous turn, I also could have potentially had game on this turn. They do go Aladdin, they go Broom, they have to because they had no cards left. They put down Aladdin, take a lore from me. Because yeah, if I had Maui inked already, then I am able to ink another Maui. So that takes me to 16 ink. And then I would be able to go Elsa, exert the Aladdin and the Broom, Aladdin, and then I've got enough ink to still pay for the pocket watch and challenge for game. So that's twice that I had game and fumbled. And it's important to point out these things, which is one of the reasons I kind of like occasionally watching back games. I think it just call yourself out. And I think when I ink that there, I have seen, I had game this turn if I had inked previously. But nonetheless, they have 1 card left in their deck, which is a Broom. They're going to be able to quest up to 16 next turn. I am a little concerned here about them putting down another Aladdin and bringing me out of Aladdin challenge something for game phase. But they don't. They do quest with Aladdin. I think they re-ready with Shield. And they play Broom to stop themselves losing. Just shuffling another Broom. But at this point, I have recognised that all I need to do is ink to 16. I put down Elsa, I exert away, I follow up with Aladdin, and for Poetic Motion, I go into their Aladdin after paying a pocket watch, and we take the game. And this was in Silver 1, I believe. Yeah, this was Silver 1. So there you go. That's a very in-depth look of the Ruby Amethyst Mirror match. I have no idea how long this video is going to be. Let me know if you enjoyed it. Let me know if you would have preferred the face cam. And then if I do videos like this in the future, I will use the face cam. Do let me know about that. But if you enjoy these types of videos, like rewatching games I've already played and getting to spend longer dissecting it, because like the problem with doing live commentary is like sometimes I talk too much and then I'm not making the optimal plays because I run out of time, or I just feel like I don't play as well when I'm live commentating. And again, I still will do videos where I do that, but I think for like a really deep analysis, it's better to like I'm always recording my games when I'm just playing offline. And yeah, no, it's great to come across certain ones and then do an analysis like this. So let me know if you do like this sort of video. Hit the like button. If you're brand new to the channel, please subscribe for all things Lorcana, and we will see you soon.